We'll get to more of the junior scores from last night. And before we jump into the CFL talk, because I know that's what everybody's here for, Rems, can you just repeat, if you don't mind, what you said in the break about Mike Babcock, how he just kind of wears on people?
Well, look, okay, so I worked with the guy for 2 years, and
Moose Jaw,
yeah. He was my boss. I was the director of marketing. He kind of fell into the role because he was hired as the head coach. Greg Quisley left in November, and you're leaving a 29-year-old guy in charge of the whole organization, which he was willing to take on, and I'm ready for this, but he wasn't. Okay, and he would tell you now that he wasn't, but at the time, like, he's ready to take on the world.
Full of confidence, Mike Babcock. Who knew?
Absolutely, yeah. Who would have guessed? And I love him, okay? And
yeah.
I say that, but I'm going to tell you, he was not an easy guy to be around on a day in and day out basis. And, I think what happens with some people, and I'm not Dr. Phil, but I think what happens with some guys is when you have the hamster in the wheel and it's just spinning all day, it just, when that hamster never gets tired and it's just going all the time, you want everybody else in the room, you want their hamsters to be running at the same speed.
Chris Jones.
But it doesn't. But 99.9% of us, I can't believe I just did that.
I love it. 99. Put it on a loop.
99.9% of us don't operate like that. Okay? I mean, I'd like to think that my hamster runs on a fairly steady speed.
But then it takes a break.
Every once in a while it does, yeah. His doesn't. I mean, I can remember him coming to my desk one day and coming to me and saying, "Hey, Remps, what are you doing tonight?" Doesn't matter. He says, "You're coming with me to Brandon." I said, "I am?" He says, "You're coming with me to Brandon. I might need somebody to drive home if I want to take a nap." So at 3:35 or 4 o'clock or whatever it was, we jumped in the little Warrior Dodge Shadow. That's what they gave us for a car back then. Jumped in the Dodge Shadow, drove to Brandon, because this is before the WHL days you could watch the games on streaming. He only drove there so that he could watch 2 periods and see what the lineup combinations were and what the power play and penalty kill looked like.
Couldn't send somebody to do that?
No.
Not as good as he could.
He had to see it himself.
Right.
After 2 periods, we drove all the way home, got home around whatever time, midnight or 12:30 in the morning. But in his mind, if that gave him a 1% better chance of winning the game the next night when Brandon came in, it was worth the 8 hours. And so I give him credit for that. Like his mind never stops and all that stuff. But when you're asking, if you're as demanding as him and you're constantly like kind of, that hamster's running all the time, it just wears you out.
Well, and by the way, speaking of wearing you out.
But I love the guy.
And we will get to the Grey Cup talk. You see I'm wearing my Grey Cup bunny hug here today. But Terry Carrier has written in on the Facebook wall, and he says, "The problem in TO, it's the media. Ask Sutter. Right, Rod? LOL." I could sit here all day and with Remps and talk about coach stories and NHL stories, and they're still talking in Paradise Hill and Lloydminster about the argument that Daryl Sutter and I got in about a variety of things. But one was the media, and he says the media it's all their fault. You can't trust them, so he doesn't want to talk to any of them. And what I forgot to tell you Monday was somebody asked Daryl if the Leafs called, assuming they're going to fire Mike Babcock, would you take the call? Would you take the Leafs head coaching job? And Daryl Sutter said, if I could coach just the home games, yes. Doesn't want to travel anymore.
Wow.
Where have you heard that, right?
Yeah.
Say it all the time, but get over the fight with Daryl Sutter. I'm over it. So, do you want to go to the Grey Cup? Because I can sit and talk about this all day.
I know.
I'm not sure everybody else wants to hear about it all day.
I don't know.
Amazing.
It's a pretty hot subject for people that I wouldn't have thought would even care about this.
Babcock being fired by the Leafs?
Just the whole
but in our
dynamic.
pre-show meeting, Clark and I and Darren was in there and Tyler, we just said it's the Leafs and it's Babcock. He's from here. You can see why.
For sure.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.